All right, baby. Here it is. Yeah. WSME. SM Enlightenment Radio. Good evening and welcome. It's another edition of the Sunday Night Spotlight. And you know, these Sunday Night Spotlights, they come at you every Sunday at 8 o'clock p.m. And every Sunday, what it is that I do is I always interview somebody of interest. All right. And when I say somebody of interest, I mean somebody that I know that my audience is going to be interested in. Now, we're all about the positivity. We're all about great music. You know, we're all about upliftment of the community. This guest right here embodies all of those attributes, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I got the one, the only, Mason Santos in the house, also known as the DJ Finesse. I mean, this brother, he's an artist. He's a world-renowned celebrity DJ, a mentor, a coach, a motivational speaker, a behavioral specialist, an author. Man, you're just an inspiration, brother. Woo! I had to write down all of that, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, man. Welcome,
Thank you, brother.
Welcome to WSME. Welcome to the world, the land, the realm of SM. It's a pleasure to have you. And you know, for those of you that don't know who Mason Santos is, all right, yes, he does also go by another name of the DJ Finesse. And when you put in the, all right, there's two E's, there's an extra E in the the. And, you know, I was trying to analyze it. I think the other E stands for excellence.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You know, this brother, he is it, man. And how you doing, brother?
I'm blessed, man. Doc P, how are you, brother?
Hey, you know, I am blessed as well. And
you are, truly.
You know, from reading the book, you know, the book that you have, from personal to purpose, you know, I know not to say it is what it is, or I'm just hanging in there. You know, words are so powerful. You know what I'm saying? And the way that you describe your condition, you know, you opened my eyes to quite a few things, and we're going to get into the book. But first, I just want to get into you, brother. All right,
sure.
You know, now you know, folks have seen you on BET, VH1. They've seen you in parties all over the place. But you know, that's DJ Finesse. Let's talk about Mason Santos.
Sure.
Tell me who Mason Santos is.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on. I want to make sure I shout you out, brother, for you know, providing a platform that people like you and I can just communicate and chop it up, and hopefully we add some value, right? So thank you for having me on. I appreciate you and the station that's just doing some amazing things. So Mason Santos, you know, 51 years young, born and raised in East Providence, Rhode Island. I am the younger brother. My brother and I are just two siblings in our household, and mom and dad are, you know, still married. I come from Cape Verdean descent, which is African and Portuguese ancestry. Most don't know that until you get to the Northeast, right? Up here in the Northeast, folks never. I'm like, what the hell is Cape Verdean, right? So, you know, spent all my life here in East Providence, Rhode Island. Grew up here, and just, you know, being that I'm from here, just always had the mind and the vision to get out beyond, you know, this region. So I've always had an interest in doing things beyond where I live. So I was always like the black sheep of the family, like not to the point, I put that in the book, where, you know, an outcast. I just looked at things differently. Yeah. You know, that was my goal. I just saw things differently. I just realized that, you know, mom and dad were really good at embracing everything that we did. My brother and I, sports, everything. So, you know, my dad was, you know, in the book, you know, could have played NFL football and chose to, forgo that to take care of the family. And
that was a sacrifice.
Huge sacrifice. Huge sacrifice. And again, you know, I want to give it away, but when you read the book, you'll see that story. And you read the book, so you got the story. So I want to give that away.
It's a recurring theme, folks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but in that sacrifice, he always told us to go after your dreams. You know, he told us never settle. You know, go after the things that you love, and you build what you love, and that's what we've always done. So, I think that was set up for me early in my life, as far as dad and mom pushing us to do everything, get out, do it, go after it, do it. Baseball, basketball, football, I don't care what it is. Play the drums, I don't care.
Right. So, and I noticed that one thing that you do mention is that encouragement really, was just like always wrapped in so much love.
Yeah.
That hey, you just felt good. You felt good about wanting to do things and to try new things. And that's so important that that you have that support system, because we need that for ourselves. We need to encourage and love ourselves in order to give ourselves that push. So it's the fact that you came into that type of structure, I think was absolutely a blessing that you remain to, hey, pay it forward and bless the rest of us with it.
Absolutely. And my dad was, my dad came from the hood. My dad came from, I think if I said humble beginnings, that would be, that would be a far cry from what it really, really was. And I didn't really go into his story in the book, but there's so much more to his story that I didn't know until later on in life, which made him who he was. And that might be another read or another write for some other time. But his story is amazing as far as, just how he grew up. And I think that really, really set the standard, set the table for how he, what he wanted for his two sons. And he just never wanted his two sons to just see or go through, what he went through. So he was willing to sacrifice everything for us.
Right.
That's why I put in the book, like, he's my true hero,
Yeah. Now, so coming up as a kid, I know that you really latched into the basketball, more in your adolescence. But like as a younger kid, what was like a 8-year-old, 9-year-old Mason Santos like?
Off the charts, brother. Probably ADHD, ADD before they even had the term. Just total energy, off the charts. Couldn't sit home, couldn't sit still.
Right.
From riding bikes, man, climbing walls, climbing up on buildings, muckle, manhunt, kick the can, like you name it. Like we were just outside, we called them jungle gyms and the monkey bars and all the things that we used to call them, and playing. Like in one day, Doc, damn, man, we would play baseball, we would play muckle, we would play basketball, we'd throw frisbees. We got it all in one day. Like it seemed like we just had so much time. Right. And now it seems like you don't have enough of it. Right. So 8, 9 years old, I was out the house, man. I was out the house, and you could find me, up at the playground, every day.
Well, it seems as though that same energy you've always taken with you, because I could feel that energy when I'm hearing you play, when you're DJing, brother, just the way that you throw things at us, you know what I'm saying, to keep that excitement going. It's a great thing. So you started to get into basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. And so was that your first love?
No, football was my first love. Football was I was extremely fast. I should say quick. I was more quick than fast.
Okay.
And it was my first love. And then at 13, I had a freak accident in football. I didn't know I had an enlarged spleen. And we were playing muckle one day, and I fell, and my friend would go tag me down and fell on me with his elbow and ruptured my spleen. So I was 13 in the hospital, and about 2 weeks out of school, and stitches down the middle of my stomach.
Wow.
And that was it. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good with football. I'm good. No more gridiron. And at 13, it switched over. So I was, we were always athletic. But at 13, I switched over to it was straight basketball. And I remember the Pop Warner coaches, when it was the day for tryouts for football. I was on the basketball court. I remember all 3 coaches from all 3 different weight classes went to the basketball court. Like, what's going on? I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm good.
Wow. So they wanted you.
They did. Yeah. I was like, I'm all set, man. I'm staying right here on the parquet. No more gridiron.
So you're getting into this basketball, and around at the same time, I know that you're starting to discover the hip hop. You're starting to discover DJing. Mm-hmm. The way that you discovered that, I love the way that you tell that story. Checking out Buck and just getting all into that. That's great. So as you're coming up, and I'm familiar with this because I was sort of doing a lot of the same thing.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
playing the saxophone, and trying to play football. You know what I'm saying? And then
Right.
getting into different things. So, but when you went away to college, okay, then by then, like the DJing was like a real thing then.
It was, yeah. So I was dabbling in it, here in the high school and doing the house parties, and
Right.
I was pretty much, there was probably two of us that had equipment, but I had at 15 I'd already had a job at a at a nursing home. I wanted my own money, I wanted my own transportation. So I bought my own moped, and I started buying DJ equipment because I saw my man DJ Buck. I know you know who DJ Buck is.
Right.
World-renowned DJ Buck. That was the first DJ I'd ever seen, and he was DJing my cousin's wedding reception. I didn't even know what a DJ, looked like or what it entailed until I saw him, and that was it. I was hooked. So bought my own equipment, and by the time I hit college, I don't even think I don't think I was that good. I don't think I was that good. I just think I was one of the only ones. No, I don't think so. I think I was decent.
Okay.
But I was there wasn't many of us doing it, so you didn't really have to be good. Just was no one else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At that point, I think I wasn't. I was nowhere near what I became. But I enjoyed the process of learning and trying to get better at that craft, and then obviously meeting Master Ace, and that just set it off in a whole nother stratosphere.
Yeah, because what happens is that you actually become an agent of the hip hop culture in your region.
Yeah.
You actually become the one, and a lot of us kind of overlook the impact that has. I mean, there's a real social impact of bringing the culture to people. A lot of people, the first time they experienced hip hop was through you. And I mean, it's you never stopped. You kept going with it, and that drive. So what I'm trying to get to where the essence of that drive comes from. You know what I'm saying? Is that the same? That's the same spirit from the 8-year-old kid that's just wanting to do a whole bunch of stuff.
I believe so. I believe that's the foundation that my parents laid with me, and
right.
And I would say even my family, like the community. So like my aunts, my uncles, and my brother. Like that was it takes a village to raise a child, right? And it really did raise me. So I was around music. I had drums, but I think it was really about mom and dad really giving us the freedom of expression, right? To go try different things. But my dad would always too. He also would say, if you're going to start something, you need to finish it. Like, he would always say, you start something, you need to finish it. I mean, if it was a bowl of cereal, like you broke it out, you need to finish it, right? So that was like, okay, so quitting is not an option, right? And again, it was more or less like, you didn't have to stay with it. Like, I think he indirectly showed me about seasons. Like, cause I had to play that. I wanted to learn how to play the drums.
Right.
I had to play the was it like that organ thing you had to play? I forget what it was called. I forget. But it was teaching you how to do two different things simultaneously, right?
Oh, like the accordion.
The accordion. I had to play the accordion.
You know what? I had one of those too. My dad played the accordion. Yeah, and that was the thing, and like, when company comes over, the relatives come over, then they put you on stage, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. And listen, and look, now you played the sax, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So listen, and so we, as two DJs, right, in the hip hop community, the accordion is not sexy.
Accordion, at least we didn't think it was.
We didn't think it was. I didn't think it was sexy. I thought the bass was sexy. I thought drums were sexy. I mean, right. I wasn't gonna walk up and down my street, man, with something, you know what I'm saying, doing this, right? So I didn't think it was sexy, man. So I didn't want to play it, but that was what we had. I had to play that to get to the drums. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not gonna be an accordion player, but to get to the drums, you got to finish that accordion thing to get there. Yeah. And so it was always always instilled in me to just kind of you finish what you start.
And the other thing also is that the best DJs are musicians, from the start, because I mean, in the bigger picture, you are a musician, you are an artist, because you have to know how to read people, have to know exactly what it is. Your timing has to be correct. It's so much more actually involved than just being a musician, because some musicians just go out there and just play whatever they're there to play.
Right.
But whereas there's a lot of different components to it. So you met Master Ace, and you actually become a conductor of hip hop. Now, at that point, did you ever think that hip hop was going to evolve the way that it has?
Yeah, it's funny because and again, there's so much that's not in the book, and when you grab the book, you've seen as you read it. I say it to the reader, if you think this is a story about DJ Finesse, let me apologize to you. It's not
because that's a whole nother book, folks.
That's a whole nother book. That's a whole nother book, and that wasn't my goal. It wasn't to talk about me. It was to add value in a different realm of education and personal development. But I did. And I remember being in elementary school, and one of my friends literally was like, listen, this hip hop thing is not gonna last. And I remember about 15 years later, 20 years later, thanks, or maybe a little bit more, thank God that Facebook, he friends me. He says, hey man, I owe you a huge apology. I was like, what you mean? He said, remember I told you that this hip hop thing would never last. Well, my kids are in blah, blah, blah. I said, right. So here we are. So yeah. So, I met when I knew it. I knew it. I didn't know the extent that I would play or the role that I would play in it until I started going to New York City and seeing it on, where it was created, and seeing it through the lens of, Ace, and where he, the places we would go and the places he would bring me. And I remember even specific conversations that he didn't even remember that we had, in downtown Brooklyn. So I was a sponge, man. I was a sponge of everything I could get my hands on. And every chance I got, I would leave the campus of URI. Me and my boy Mike, another DJ from Boston, we would leave and we would go to New York City. Every shot, we would stay there for a weekend, long weekend. And, I remember literally recording BLS, because BLS was Molly Mall.
We all,
right?
Yeah.
Molly Mall in Control rap show was BLS, and then Kiss had Red Alert. So I would make tapes, but mostly Molly Mall, because the DJ, Molly's DJ on the air was Pete Rock. Okay. So I got to hear Pete Rock when he was like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18. And I would get like, we're dating ourselves, right, Doc? I would get the TDK, the TDK 120s.
We in the 50+ club out here.
Yeah, but we look good though.
Yeah.
I would get the TDK 120s, and I would go, and we would go in my boy Ray Dowell's house. He lived in Brooklyn, him and Ace, Brooklyn and Queens. Pop the tape in, hit record, we bounce. Go run around, come back, flip it over, hit record, bounce. Come back, tape 2 in, because we didn't have social media. So what I figured was, I got to record this information. I have to record this show and what this DJ's doing, because I can't see it. Right. And I would bring that back to URI, and I would play it, and I would literally sit in my dorm for hours at a time. I would just close my eyes, and I'm like, what is he doing? Like, how is he going back and forth, and how is he doubling this song up? And I was like, I would hop on my turntables, I would try it, and I'm like, so it was literally just studying what I heard. And I think, to your point, as far as DJs being musicians, like, we have the ear.
Yeah.
So I think having that ear allowed me to kind of hear what he was doing and then trying to manipulate it. And my whole style is Pete Rock. Because I would hear Pete Rock.
Wow. So yeah, he gets the credit, huh?
Yeah, Pete, nice. You're up to three DJs: DJ Buck, Pete Rock, and Kid Capri. I'm a mixture of those three: DJ Buck, Pete Rock, and Kid Capri. So
I guess it's safe to say then, then this is I'm seeing that, as a athlete, you were dedicated, and all you did was you played basketball, up until a certain point, and then it seems as though when you got into this music, then the music, like I see real determination there to really make something happen. And just like you was talking about, those values are instilled in you to finish what you start, and not to quit, not to give up, you know, and you're determined to be the best, you know, these are themes that are reoccurring for you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that, you know, the book that you wrote, okay, actually is a workbook on how to achieve these great things that you've been able to do. I mean, because hey, you're literally living your dream.
Yeah, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to have met some amazing people along the way, even yourself. And I think, you know, I truly believe in chance meetings, and I
Right.
believe that. But I also believe that you have to be ready. You know, you can. You know, we always say that, you know, you can be at the right place at the right time,
Yeah.
but if you don't know you're there, it's as if you know, if you don't know you're in the right place at the right time, if you don't take action, it's as if you weren't even there.
Yeah.
So, you know, Master Ace, right? Why did I become cool with Master Ace? Why did I approach Master Ace? You know,
Look
he
at
was
that.
on campus, right? Anyone could have approached Master Ace. Why did I stay? I'm still to this day. I mean, he wrote the forward, as you know. Like
Yeah, yeah.
so I've been
And
connected with him ever since 1987.
it's amazing because I mean, there are a lot of kids that went to the college where you was at. I mean,
Sure.
there are kids that you went to school that you may have never met, may have
Right.
never have known, you know,
Yep.
but you met this one person. And, you know, a lot has to be said about those types of meetings and the way that we come around, because even, you know, my own personal experience of meeting you, you know, I mean, I came from Connecticut. I moved to Massachusetts first for a day job, and then, you know, me and my lady, we came over here to Rhode Island. I knew absolutely nobody in
Mm,
Rhode Island, but, you know, hey, I've done this music. You
right.
know, I've done terrestrial radio for a lot of years, and I still still had the radio bug, so I got into this SM Enlightenment Radio, and then you know, it was more like a wish that I
Sure.
said, you know, I need to network with the people that are doing it out here, you know, and right after I had that thought and that notion, that wish, brother, I was bringing my mother to the clinic, and you know, there was a pretty young lady there, you know, working the desk.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm always promoting my station. I'm always promoting SM Enlightenment Radio. So, you know, I step up to the sister and I say, hey, sister, how you doing? You know, I'm Doc P. You know, I got this radio station here, SM Enlightenment
Yeah.
Radio. You know what I'm saying? And I'm giving her one of these. And she takes it and she looks at it. She says, oh, so do you play like old school music? I say, oh yeah, we play the old school music. She said, well, there's a guy that you should know. His name is DJ Finesse, and she pulls up your Facebook page, and this is a younger sister too. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, maybe in her late 20s, a younger sister, and she's like, yeah, you know, this is somebody that you should know. And that's where it
You told me
started,
this.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me that story.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that floored me, because then I reached out to you, you know, and hey, you welcomed me, you know, and I didn't know, brother, that you had the resume that you had. You
Yeah.
know, all of the celebrity stuff, I didn't know. I had no idea. And, you know, I'm sure people know you from being a public figure, just want to approach you. Folks, my man was open to me from the get-go. He didn't know me from a can of paint, and has always invited me to come through, you know, whenever he's playing, you know, and he
That's
didn't know who.
that's mom and dad, bro.
Yeah,
That's the family. I'll be honest.
that's that love.
Yeah.
That's
I believe that, you know, and you know, this is not about money, but I've
yeah,
always said that money makes you more of who you are, right?
right.
So, and just, you know, I don't want to swear, but I say, you know, if you're an a-hole,
Yeah,
you're a huge a-hole with money,
yeah,
right? If you're giving, you're very giving with money. So this isn't about, like, our relationship isn't about money. I'm just who I am, no matter what I accomplish, right? That's not going to change. No matter what I accomplish, I'm who I am. So whether it be Doc P or anyone else, like if I have something I can offer that can help you or help anyone else get to where they need to get to, I mean, you can't help everyone, obviously, but
yeah,
you can at least maybe open some doors and make some connections. Like, I may not be able to give you exactly what you need, right? I may not have that ability, but I
right.
may know someone who has that ability, and I'll make that connection. So for you, I mean, you was very humble, man, and even your approach on social media, I'm like, yeah, like come through, bro. Like come through.
Well, you see, it's that same reason. See, if you're trying to figure out why this man is successful, all right, you know, what goes around comes around. I mean, he's open, and we got into you. We got into Mason Santos. I want to get into this book here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because people need to know, and we'll break it down a little bit, because this is one thing. It's a workbook, folks, and the thing about this is that you don't have to read it chronologically either. I mean, there's chapters in there that each one has some real jewels in it. We're gonna get into that. All right, we're gonna get into From Personal to Purpose by Mason Santos.
Absolutely.
The DJ Finesse right here on the Sunday Night Spotlight, baby. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Don't go nowhere. Stick around, baby. Yeah. All right, baby. WSME SM Enlightenment Radio. Once again, good evening and welcome. You're listening to the Sunday Night Spotlight. All right, and we're here with Mason Santos, the DJ Finesse, world-renowned DJ. And hey, my man, he's also he's a motivational speaker and also just an all-around you're a mentor, in a lot of ways, and this book really seals it. And I want to go through it a little bit. So first of all, what is it that inspired you, that truly inspired you to write the book? Because I know I've heard you say that people were that it has been said to you, hey brother, you should write a book.
Yeah.
You should write a book.
I've heard, yeah.
But what was it, the point that, whereas you knew that, okay, I have to do this?
Yeah. So, I think one of the lessons I've learned in life is that, if one person tells you something, you can dismiss it.
Right.
If two people say the same thing, well, it's a kind of coincidence, right? 3, 4, and 5 all saying the same thing, 20 people saying the same thing, you better pay attention. So for me, it was really about, I had heard it over and over and over again about, I need to write a book. I need to write a book. I need to write a book. But the people that were telling me hadn't written a book. So it didn't really register until a young man, I actually shouted him out in the beginning. His name is Jonathan Rosales, Guatemalan kid, literally wrote a book. And I went to his book signing, his book launch, his book signing. And he had already knew my story. He was like, Finesse, you need to write a book. He's like, you need to write a book. He's like, you need to write a book. And so the difference was, this was an author telling me to write a book.
Right.
Not just a friend or, a colleague. So someone who had already done it was telling me to do it. That's when it kind of registered that, okay, it's time to write this book. And it doesn't mean you don't take, advice from people that hadn't done it, but you should be kind of cautious as far as, what advice you take from people that haven't done what you want to do. And again, they weren't, I didn't look at them negatively. It registered differently when someone who actually had a book was like, dude, write the damn book. Right. It's like, you need to write the book. And I was like, okay, I got you. I hear you. So that was probably where it came from, the inspiration to get it. Just watching someone that I knew personally as a friend of mine that did it. I was like, oh man. And then just being in a different place in my life where I thought that, I think the biggest thing was, I would talk to my parents about DJ Finesse. I truly would. And I was like, I don't know what this Finesse guy is for. My mom was like, what do you mean? I'm like, there's got to be more to this than look, this would literally be a conversation. I'm like, there's got to be more than just turn up parties and, Biggie, party and BS, right? Party and there's got to be more to it. She's like, well, you'll figure it out. And for me, I think it was, I always wanted to be on stage. I always knew that I wanted a platform. I wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be on the biggest stages. And I truly thought that Finesse would give me the stage. But, your Enlightenment Radio, right? So talking about positivity.
That's
and
right.
as a DJ, imagine how disastrous my night would be in a club if I stopped the music and told those 1,000 people, a lot of them that look like us, why we shouldn't be using the N-word. You want to see a career? You want to see a career get shut down quick and a club empty, right? So for me, it was, and I say this all the time. There's a huge difference between achievement and fulfillment. Right? There's a huge difference. So I've achieved a lot, but it wasn't always fulfilling because I had a platform that didn't allow me to speak my mind. We speak through these, right? We speak through these. So I can't have these in-depth conversations that I always wanted to have. And most times, during interviews, I'm not mad at it because I understood it's entertainment, but it's not this kind of interview, right? It was really a lot of superficial questions like, what's Diddy like? Yeah. What's it like, right? And I get it because that's what a lot of people want to know if you're DJing for Bad Boy. Like they didn't want to know about Mason Santos, the husband, Mason Santos, the motivational speaker, Mason Santos, the behavior specialist, Mason Santos that works for DCYF and wants to help out kids. Like that's not interview worthy, right? And I understood that. So I kept it in its own compartment, but I wanted a platform to really be able to have this kind of dialogue and really, how do I add value beyond clubs and drinks and VIPs?
Right. Yeah, because, and it's so crazy, whereas some folks, would just only aspire just to achieve what you have achieved and would think that they've made it. To say like, well, you've made it to, how could you want anything else?
Right.
But hey, you still that same 8-year-old boy that just
absolutely,
will not stand still and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Because you had that encouragement, and
I think success is a relative term, right? So, if there's people who aspire to do what I did and they get there and they really feel fulfilled, then God bless you, right? So it's a relative term. So based on money, it's not based on status, it's based on what you want to do and the level in which you want to do it. And I would say, I never want to compare myself because comparison is a dream killer. Like the minute you start looking left and right, the Joneses, I gotta have it. Then when you've already, you've blown your whole, the whole focus of what you really want to achieve because, you're comparing yourself to other people. So, I didn't want to do that. I want to follow people who had what I wanted.
Right.
And, the Kid Capri, obviously, DJ Buck, obviously, and even as a DJ, Pete Rock. But I really wanted to do more than just be a DJ in clubs. And, I found my calling, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I found my calling.
Your purpose,
Found my purpose, absolutely.
Yeah. And your purpose is also helping others to find theirs. And one interesting chapter in your book is where you say you only know what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the main reasons why you were able to achieve the level of success in the entertainment industry is because, hey, you didn't just stay in East Providence, Rhode Island, just to study the craft. Because what was just immediately around you was just, that was all that there was. You had to go outside of not only where you were, but as you also say, you had to go outside of your thinking box.
Absolutely. Because we all, that's spot on because we all, our environment, our family, the things that are around us, like that gives us our perception of the world, that's our reality.
Right.
And oftentimes if you just think with that, I call it the thinking box, right? If you just think with that mindset, there's no growth there. Like, so you just don't grow. So for me, I knew early that no one, and honestly, Doc, it was like a calculated math problem. Right. I looked at how old I was at the time. I looked at, okay, where I'm from and how many people I knew that became successful in entertainment from Rhode Island, and every last one of them had to leave.
Wow.
So, Jeffrey Osborne is from Rhode Island.
LTD,
exactly. My boy Irving Washington was the lead singer of Portrait.
Wow.
Remember Portrait? Okay. Here we go.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Irving and I were in high school together. He had to move to California. So I knew of Jeffrey Osborne, I knew Irving, and I knew that they left. So in my mind, I can't make it from here. That's just a math problem, right? If everyone had to leave to do it, I'm going to be the first one. No. So let me leave to go, because they weren't coming to Rhode Island looking for me. So let me go. If there's a nugget for any DJ or anyone in business, you have to find the people who have what you want. Go do what they do so you can get what they get. And they're not coming to you. So you had better be willing to sacrifice. And I got it from my man Eric Thomas. And I don't steal people's lines. I pay homage. Eric Thomas says, are you willing to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become tomorrow? So I was willing to sacrifice who I am today for who I want to become tomorrow. And that meant branching out beyond Rhode Island, going to Philly, going to Atlanta, going to Jersey, going to DC. I mean, you name it. Going to Cali, I went wherever I had to go to make sure that I had a shot. And when I got my shot, I had to rock out.
Yeah. And you see, and this is an important thing, because this, in anything that you want to do, in order to achieve that level of mastery or excellence, you have to make sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
And I see those that being a reoccurring theme in your life, brother. I mean, and it goes even back a generation with your dad, with your dad sacrificing, his athletic aspirations, just to really make for the family, and even later on, like when your wife was going into nursing, you know what I'm saying? There's sacrifices that you had to do,
Absolutely.
and in order for you to really make something happen, you got to sacrifice something.
Absolutely. It doesn't bend. I put in my book, sacrifice, right? Success will never bend to no sacrifice. I don't know anyone that's been successful on any level that hasn't sacrificed. It just doesn't happen. And I think people need to understand that.
There's also an interesting chapter in your book, the surfer mindset. All right. That concept. And I like that, about, because you break it down in a literal sense when you look at it as a surfer, that's like looking for that perfect wave and then actually riding it, Explain that a little bit, without giving too much away, because we want them to read the book. We ain't gonna be your cliff notes, okay? You gotta read the book, right? But give them a nice little idea on that.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm an early riser. I've always been. Probably still ADD today, probably, right? Probably.
Yep. I'm the same kid. That same 8-year-old, I'm telling you.
8-year-old at 51, right? So I'm always up early. And there's two places where it seems like ideas just come to mind. First thing in the morning, like literally, like when I open my eyes and an idea pops, and I'll grab my phone, and now it's, we have phones. I'll go in my notes and just jot it down so I don't forget it.
Right.
And when I'm driving, I just always seem to think of ideas. So I was driving one day and I'm like, what is it about success? Why is that you have, 95% of the people are trying to get to that other side, right? They're trying to get to that 5%, that 1% who have it all, or at least seem to have it all. Yeah. So what is it about people that, their inability to somehow find their way through, where they are, where they want to go? I'm like, because they're not forward thinkers. Like they're not forward thinkers. And I thought about, I'm like surfing, and I will give you a little bit. So really, I thought about, okay, I saw some imaging, and I was on my computer one day, I was imaging, as I thought about what goes into a surfer and the best surfers. I'm like, well, there was one picture that had a bunch of people on the surfboard, and they were all in the middle of the ocean, and they were all sitting on the surfboard, and they were looking around. And then they had one picture of a guy who was on the board by himself, and he was paddling. And then the next thing you see that same surfer on the wave, and everyone else is on the crest of the wave. So I said, there it is. I'm like, successful people see the waves of opportunity before they form. Most of us wait, and we think that an opportunity is going to come full-fledged, dressed up, bedazzled, and knock on the door. That's the furthest from the truth. So you've got to see something that others, you like successful people see things that others just don't see.
Yeah.
And that's what the great surfers do. They see the wave and they paddle to put themselves in position to be successful. While others are sitting on the board and they're looking around and he ain't paddling, so I ain't paddling. Right?
Yeah, and that's that box.
That's
that box. You
Yep.
know, and there's one line that you wrote in there that just sticks out so much in the book, and I had to write it down.
Mm-hmm.
You said, life doesn't give you what you want; it gives you
who you are. Absolutely. 100%.
Man, that's deep.
That's I was on I did another Zoom call Wednesday morning, that was my premise of the talk. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. So, if you look at yourself, anyone that's on this this webinar, this is Zoom or webinar, podcast, Zoom, webinar, podcast.
It's all those things.
It's all those things, right? So think about where you are in your life. You are exactly where you're supposed to be with who you are. And if you want something different, you've got to become something different. See, I think everyone wants life to give us different things. Doesn't do that. Like that's out of your control. What you can control is you. And if you want something different, you got to become something different. And that's it. It's just as simple. So, for me, I wanted different things. And I kept upgrading and upgrading and upgrading, this,
Right.
I kept upgrading this because I always say it's like a iOS operating system, right? All my iPhone users, right? You get a notice that says what? Upgrade the system in
That's
your
right.
phone. There's a new system so that this phone can operate properly.
You have to upgrade. You have to
the mind's
upgrade
the
your
same
mind.
thing. Upgrade the mind so it
mind.
can operate properly. Same thing.
It's and then another really interesting twist in your story is just the fact that when I was checking that out, I was looking at a lot of the challenges that you were
Mm-hmm.
faced with, and you're faced with financial challenges, you were
Mm-hmm.
faced with, but then you had a health
Mm-hmm.
challenge.
Absolutely.
That was a really big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And explain your experience with that and how it is that came in and how were you able to still maintain your level of positivity?
So in 2017, I was diagnosed with, and I don't say the word, and I don't the C, not the COVID,
Yep,
right? The C,
the big C,
the big C, right? The big C that touches, I think it's like 6 degrees of separation. Like there's we know someone who knows someone,
absolutely,
right? Or we know someone directly who's been affected by that.
Yeah.
So in 2017, I was diagnosed with what's called squamous cell carcinoma. And I love being transparent because I think it can help a lot of people with just being the transparency. And
Right.
It came through what's called the HPV virus. So I didn't know I had HPV, and I could have had it since I was 18, 16. You just don't know.
A lot of people do have it.
According to, I went to Boston, and from what I was told from the best specialists in Boston is that 90% of people have HPV. Most have passed it. It doesn't.
Right.
There's really no symptoms, but it starts for people, for men mostly after the age of 45. If the immune system doesn't pass it, it starts to create cancerous cells, and they find it comes in the form of a lump on the throat. So, and again, college athlete, I don't smoke weed. I'm a social drinker, never been into drugs. I'm always healthy. And I found a lump in my throat one day, just to paraphrase, it happened to be cancerous. And I'll just say that word because it's we're on the podcast, but it was cancerous. And I didn't need surgery, and I really wasn't going to do the chemo and radiation. I'm like, nah, you're not going to put this stuff all through my body and tear down everything to find this one little spot. I'm not going to do it. But my oncologist, who was amazing, she encouraged me because she gave me the numbers. And the mere facts was, the silver lining was, with my form of C, it really responded well to both chemo and radiation. And I asked her, well, when you say respond, give me the numbers, doc. And she's like, there's a 95% chance that it will never return ever. Because there's something about it, because it came through a virus. It wasn't genetic, right? It wasn't environmental. It came through a virus. And so because it was a virus, it's different. It responded differently. So I really couldn't argue with those numbers. I'm like 95%. All right, let's get that chemo popping, right? Let's get right. So, let's start this thing up.
And I know that it could not have been a pleasant experience.
No, it wasn't. So I mean, I didn't have a huge dose. I had 5. I went through 35 treatments of radiation and 5 doses of chemo. And I think the biggest thing was, so 2007. So 2 years prior, I had started my journey on personal development. Okay. So I really started building this. And I truly believe, if not for personal development and getting my mind as sharp as I could, that I probably wouldn't have handled the news as good as I did. Wow. And if I hadn't found, and also too, if I hadn't found my purpose, it probably wouldn't. I wouldn't have heard it the way I heard it, because when I was given the news, and to this day, if I'm being totally transparent, I've never shed a tear. I didn't ask why me. I didn't, I didn't beat myself up. I didn't go into depression. I said, okay, that's the man upstairs who said, you're the one. You're the one who can handle this. You wanted a stage. I'm going to give you a stage. Now you have a huge platform because this is global. I need you to get out front. I need you to show people strength. There are people who not just people going through the sea, but financial, spiritual, emotional, right? Relationships, physical, right? So get out front, and I need you to show people what strength looks like, because there are those who are ready to give up. That's what I heard. I'm like, all right, I got you. Let's go. So I started posting on Facebook. I told my wife, I'm like, look, I'm going every day. So Monday through Friday, I would go to radiation treatments. I'm like, I'm driving everyone. I'm driving to every appointment. So she went the first 2. I'm like, go do what you got to do. I'm like, I'm driving. Nothing's changed. I'm going fishing. I'm out the house. I'm out. And I realized that what the mind can conceive, like the body can achieve. So I would not let it beat me. I'm like, nah, man, like I'm out. And I remember one time fishing, I was vomiting. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, we got to get it popping. Yeah, keeping it moving. So that was my, that was my way of putting that out there and taking the onus and the spotlight off of me and putting it on everyone else who needed some encouragement. And I got so much feedback from people going through stuff and like, look, you've helped me through it. Just your story of strength, helped me realize that I can push through. And that's a lot of, what's in this book.
Yeah. And, it is one hell of a great story. I mean, it's inspirational. Really, it's a workbook. And I like the fact that in the book that you leave sections in there so that we can reflect and take notes.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's really important, because I went all through. I assaulted the book with the Sharpie. Yeah, I just assaulted it. It's crazy. And there's so much there that you wrote that your why will create your way. I mean, just there's so many jewels there. And I think it's not going to stop here for you, brother. I mean, I think this book is like, just the beginning of many that are going to come from you. How long did the book take you to write?
I think the easiest part was the writing, honestly.
Really?
I started last September, and I was done by January, February.
Wow.
I was done writing, and I just, it's funny, hip hop, man. So, I literally would, some of the behavior specialists in high school, So when students come to me, they got to be in my room. You know, my job is to connect with them, identify some of the behaviors, give them some alternate ways of thinking of things.
Okay.
But in my room, they got to be quiet and do their work.
Right.
So they come into my room, I'm playing hip hop, right? So I know I'm about to give them this first.
Yeah.
And I would do that, but I would listen to Fabulous first. It's my time, right?
Nice.
Right. I'm gonna put it on the line. You know what I'm saying? It's my time first and foremost. Then I would listen to Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. Right. I would play that every day, Optimistic, and then I would go to YouTube.
Always on rotation on SM Enlightenment Radio, folks. You can hear that on this.
Yep. So Sounds of Blackness, Optimistic. I would play that. So it would be Fabulous first, Optimistic. And I would go into YouTube and I would play. I would type in hip hop, jazz, instrumentals. And
nice.
then there's hours of that. I would just, so those two would get me started, and then jazz. And I was just getting the zone, man. I was like, it would just go. So, you know, for those of you who get the book, just understand every single word is mine. There's no ghostwriter. There's no fabrication. This is not intended to be a movie. This is me being as honest and transparent, me being vulnerable, telling you some things that have gone on in my life. Is like you said, as far as health reasons, you know, health issues, money issues, because I feel like if I can't be honest with you, then you can't be honest with anybody else.
Yeah,
so if I can at least start that process, let's be honest, folks. Like it's okay. Like things don't always work out.
People need to hear that story, man, and it's a great one. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for writing the book, because I feel lucky that I know you personally. Even though, brother, I see it on social media, folks got autographed copies, man. You know, what's up with that?
I got you, brother. See, so you ordered from Amazon, correct? You got it from Amazon.
Yeah. I bought it from Amazon. You know, I just wanted to support. You know, once I knew you was doing something like that, I knew that I had to support you, because I appreciate it. You know, you are my first friend I ever met here in the state of Rhode Island. And you remain to be, my main friend out here. So, hey, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on the show. And like I said,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. And tell the folks, like, all of the places where they could find out more about you and get in touch with you. Let us know how we can get the book. I know through Amazon, of course.
Yep. So anybody close to me in close proximity to Rhode Island, you can order from my website. My website is called FromPersonalToPurpose.com. You can order the book there. I have the book. So what happens is when you order it there, I can send it to you, or even walk it to your house or to your location. Those of you who are out of state, out of the country, you can go to Amazon and just type in From Personal to Purpose. When you type that, it's the first book that pops up. So I'm doing pretty well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like this. This is what it look like, folks. That's it.
It pops right up, which is pretty cool. When I first pressed publish, I had to search for the book, right? Scroll. Now you type in From Personal, boom, it just pops up, which is pretty good. So thank you for all the support. All social media handles is FPTP book. So, hashtag FPTP book, whether it be on Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook, my Facebook page. I have a From Personal Purpose YouTube channel. Starting to put some content there.
Okay.
So doing that. So that's where you can find me on all social media handles. FPTP book.
Folks, the book, you got From Personal to Purpose, right? Mason Santos, the DJ Finesse, and when you gonna start DJing? You gonna DJ a party anytime soon?
I know.
I'm missing that, brother. I'm missing. You're doing some great stuff. Well, wait until you let me get on the mic when you're on deep.
Oh, let's listen.
We're gonna shut it down. We're gonna shut it down, man.
I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in.
But hey, I want to thank you again, and hey, I want to thank everybody out there for listening. This has been the Sunday Night Spotlight. All right, with Mason Santos. Right here, WSME, SM Enlightenment Radio. Stick around, baby. We got much more coming your way. Peace and blessings. Have a good night.